Fire and Ice. So this game, well, it's a two-player strategy game, but it kind of goes overboard with the attempt to tie it thematically to something, and I think this is best illustrated by reading the back of the box to you. The game Fire and Ice begins when the universe captured within this mystic talisman is disrupted by a central element of fire. Fire, the active force, moves first, leaving ice in its former place, thus restoring balance, but forever breaking symmetry. Ice, born where fire has receded, in turn moves, leaving a new element of fire in its wake. And so, Fire and Ice continue in their fateful dance, choosing at each turn which elemental piece will channel their action, a piece whose options must be limited to either the free points of its own island of power or an identically positioned point on another island. Theirs is a struggle to determine the destiny of the universe by controlling 3 islands of power lying along one of the 7 great lines of power, while the free points of this finite universe relentlessly fill. One will prevail. So, Fire and Ice is a game about a mystic struggle for a great line of power. And that's fine and good and all, but really it's just a basic two-player strategy game. Something along the lines of chess, only not nearly as involved. It's often compared to like a mathematically souped up version of Tic-Tac-Toe. And if that has made up your mind about how you're going to feel about this game, that's understandable. But still, I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like. The board is pretty nice. The wooden pieces are nice. So I'll show you what it looks like, how it plays, and we'll talk about it a little bit after I do that. Alright, so here we have the main board for Fire and Ice, and we want to start out by talking about how it's composed. You've got, as you can see, the 7 different islands on the board. They're all connected by 6 lines in a circle. Then each individual island also has the same pattern repeated. The goal of the game is to control 3 islands. They're connected by a line or by the central circle. And an island is controlled when you use 3 of your pieces to form a line, like that. That's control. But this would also be control, because the circle is just as valid as a straight line. Setup for the game is going to be incredibly simple. Basically, someone's going to decide to be fire and someone's going to decide to be ice. Fire's going to go first, and they're going to take one of their pieces and put it in the center like that, and you're ready to go. Okay, so basically a turn in Fire and Ice is going to be just you moving your piece to a place you're allowed to move it, and then filling in one of your opponent's places where you just moved from. So we talk about where you can move a piece to. You can move a piece to any open hole on the same island that you're already at, and then you would take your opponent's piece and fill in where you just moved from. Or you could move to another island in the same location you just moved that piece from. So I'm in the center here, I would move to the center over here if I wanted to, and then fill in like that. Or I could have gone to any other island that had an open spot in the middle. And basically you just go back and forth until someone controls 3 islands. As you can see, I've gone ahead and played through a game here, and red controls 1, 2, and 3, and these 3 are in a line, so red would win the game here. But blue was hoping to get control of this one. He got edged out at the last minute, but he was hoping to get control of this one so he'd get this, sneak this circular win in here. So, yeah, Fire and Ice. You know, this is a game that, well, let's start off by, if you look at the box, It says that the time will last somewhere between 20 and 55 minutes. I don't know who is playing an hour-long game of Fire and Ice. It really won't take that long. And I think that that's probably one of its strengths, is that it's fast and simple. You know, it's not going to be a game where you have to worry about someone getting bogged down with too many choices, really. You just... You'll have moments where someone sits there and has to try to think a few moves in advance, but it's not going to be, you know, minutes of waiting. Eventually they're going to go, okay, well, I think this is the best thing to do, and you'll do something. And really, yeah, it's a fast strategy game. And it's simple, but it's not too simple. I think that mechanic of whenever you move, wherever you go, you have to be concerned about how your opponent's going to get a piece where you just moved from. I think that's just really interesting because it just makes you reconsider everything you... Okay, well, this is the move I want to make, but wait. Then he's going to get a piece there, and then he can take that piece in the future and go somewhere else in that same location, and it makes it really interesting. I think that mechanic should show up in another game, because to me there's not enough going on here to really capture my interest. You know, like I said right off the top, the board is really nice. It's like this hefty, thick wood. The wooden peg pieces are really nice. But in the end, it feels like one of those, you know, it feels almost disposable. Because it's just a strategy game. It's so basic. If you don't have a two-player strategy game that plays fast, that gives you some amount of difficult choices to make, but not a ton of things to worry about, this probably isn't a bad decision. It's really easy to teach people how to play it. And if you just want something you can just pull out just to kill 20 minutes, this is actually probably a pretty good choice. But, you know, if you're a serious gamer and you, in fact, are even serious about strategy games, you probably already have something that fills the void that this would probably otherwise take up in your collection. So I'm pretty on the fence about it, actually. Rating wise, I think it's probably somewhere around a 5 out of 10 for me, which means that if someone were to come up to me and say, hey, I have this Fire and Ice game, do you want to play it? I'd be like, oh yeah, I know how to play that. And yeah, I guess I'd play it. There are other games that I absolutely would prefer to play over this, but at the same time, I'm not going to be really angry and disappointed if I end up playing this game. So that's how I feel about it. Granted, again, I don't have a strong... I'm not really into abstract strategy games that much, so my rating is probably biased because of that. I imagine someone who's really into this genre would probably give it a 6 or maybe 6 1/4, 6.5 at highest. But yeah, hopefully you saw everything you need to see to decide if you think you might be interested in it. Just remember that when you play Fire and Ice, only one will prevail.